Hey, this is Eli Galindo, and I'm here today just to make a quick video. I've been wanting to make more videos, but just been haven't been able to do that. I know I promised I was gonna do a lot more, videos for the YouTube channel, but the Piko Interactive and the magazine just keeps you busy. We had the store opening, which went very good. But today I'm actually doing a video for something different. Basically, I like to do a series of videos which would show you guys different files, ROMs, and different things that we get access to whenever we buy the rights of Piko buys the rights of some old video games. Some of this stuff, sometimes we buy the rights of a game. It comes with a lot of files that that are useful. Almost complete ROM that we can just finish up, or all the assets or most of the assets that we can just put together into what the game was going to be like back when it was worked on. But sometimes we get stuff that honestly you can't really do much with it, and we just keep them on our archives or whatever. And I think, in terms of preservation, because there's been a lot of talking about preservation lately, it will be best if we archive, we make videos of it, we explain what they are, and then we release them to the public as well for educational purposes or just for archival purposes. So today I'm gonna talk a little bit about Odema in the Book of Magic, which is a Game Boy Advance game that we acquired the rights of. I think it was 2016 or 17. I don't remember that well. But basically, to give you a little background story of the game was gonna be being developed by a team of 4, 2 developers, 1 artist, and 1 QA tester. And the team was called Namdu or something like that. Forgot the name. So the game had astonishing art and sprites and graphics and all that. So that's why it caught my eye when I read, on different websites about unreleased games, that this game was canceled. So basically, I was able to track down the programmers and the artist. Well, the programmer led me to the artist. So we eventually were able to buy the rights of this game. Unfortunately, whenever we received the rights, we understood that there was some ROMs and that was partially complete game, but it was not that complete. So luckily, the artist had a backup of a lot of the artwork and all the levels, and it was just missing like a few enemies and a few bosses, but all the objects, the backgrounds, all the scrolling elements like front ground and background and the middle ground were there. A lot of enemies, the main character was there. So we thought, what, we cannot use this game for Game Boy Advance, so we're gonna develop it for another platform. And we chose Neo Geo, which right now the game is under development, and eventually we'll show you more footage about that game on Neo Geo. And the game, it attracted me so much because it's kind of like Metal Slug, and I love Metal Slug. It's basically Metal Slug. It's a shoot 'em up, with very well. This Odema has very, very colorful graphics, very, very good looking. They were French developers, so French artists, it's gonna look good. So I was able to track down, the main programmer and leader of the company, and I bought the rights of the game. It had to be split in a couple of payments, because he was gonna get part of the payment, and then the artist was gonna get part of the payment. And he sent us the source code, which included a couple of the ROMs. Unfortunately, it was just not, in a workable state. It was like, I'd say less than 30% complete. A couple of levels are there. There's no enemies. It's hard to, make run or shoot. Not shoot, but I think it's hard to shoot. And and I'll be showing images of and video footage of the game as I speak right now. Um, so so yeah, that's why we decided to port it to Neo Geo, and now we're just sitting on all these files that we're not gonna use, and I think it would be best if we release them to the public for them to check out. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about that after I at the end of the video. But yeah, the game is being developed for Neo Geo. It's being developed by a Spanish team that's very good. They're working on a few different projects at the moment, so that's why Odema has been progressing slowly. And depending on the success of the game, we might be porting it to other platforms like Mega Drive, maybe TurboGrafx. I don't know, maybe Super Nintendo. Who knows? But yeah, and we plan to finish up. Luckily, and this is how I do a lot of stuff when it comes to acquiring old unfinished games, is I patch it up by reading magazines, reading old websites, and looking at videos. Sometimes, like for example, IGN would in the early 2000s, I'd say, they were putting like demo videos of the games that we're talking about, the Game Boy Advance or whatever. And those videos, sometimes those ROMs are unreleased. They're not what we get, but the video tells us a lot about the gameplay, and then sometimes includes characters or enemies or boss fights that are not on the files that we get. So there was this video online that was put out by the original programmer, which he didn't have, but we were able to recover through like the White Time Machine, so that we were able to see a lot of enemies. So we're going to be working on those enemies, try to match the art as much as possible from scratch, and the game was going to be put together. Unfortunately, there is a ROM out there of this game that has like 4 or 5 levels, and it's completely playable. Like you can shoot, you can beat the boss fights, you can kill enemies, you can do, I think, some power-ups on the bullets. So unfortunately, it's lost. And what the programmer told me is like, well, I lost the latest, the latest version of the source code and the latest versions of the ROM, because the other programmer of the company basically left the company, left the project, because he left to follow his religious views, and because of that, he just like all of a sudden he sold everything, he threw his computer away, and then that's it. They never were able to hear or see him again. So that, unfortunately, because of that ROM where the video was made from, it's lost. But I guess that's why we are here, and we're gonna be putting together the game, and then so what I'm gonna do is that in a series of these videos where I show footage of these games and ROMs and talk about this little story about how we came out about getting the files and getting the IP, we're gonna put like some milestones for the channel, and with that milestone we'll be able to we'll say, let's do it for Odema. Let's say if we reach 5,000 subscribers, we'll release, we'll give you we'll put out on the website the ROMs for you to check out, whatever, it will be playable with your Visual Boy Advance or your favorite Game Boy Advance emulator, and we'll put out the source files, but not the assets, so not the graphics, but the actual source code files, for educational purposes only. If you want to study them, or you want to see what developing a Game Boy Advance game looked like at the time, you'll be able to do so. And then if you have one of those websites that talk about these stuff, you can link to those files from our website. So we'll have a post there for you to download the games and then link to it if you want to. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I love the game. The artwork, it's incredible, very colorful. It has some sort of cutesy type of style, but still, it looks very good. And the game is, I guess I've been talking about it, this whole time. I never told you what the game is about. The game is about a little witch that it's captured by some sort of like priest, like warlock, and basically the story it's around the time where there was a Great Inquisition, where like they were burning and killing people that were supposedly witches. So you're trying to, you know, to liberate yourself and beat all these different like enemies because you're a witch, and they're trying to kill you. So another thing is that we're gonna change the name, but we'll talk about that later in later videos or on Piko Interactive website. And yeah, I mean, take a look at the footage. I'll post a video. I'll add, you know, a partial cut of that video that the original programmer had, where you can see more footage, and then you'll see you know, some of the files that we have here in the video. I'm probably showing it right now as I'm speaking, and then the footage from the actual ROMs. There's like 3 or 4 ROMs. I'll also put some videos. I'll add some footage for the artwork, and you'll be able to see what different sprites there are. And you know, there's not a lot of enemies. There's like about 15 that were saved. There's a lot of the like front ground, background, and middle ground from scrolling and the levels. So yeah, I mean, you know, tell us what you think. You know, once we reach the next milestone, I'll make another video for another game, because we have several of them, and you know, we're gonna be releasing these files for educational purposes to the public, but we're only doing this for games that we own the rights, so there's no confusion or there's no infringement of other people's copyright. So I'll make sure that we own, because we've been able to get a hold of some other files and unreleased stuff, but we don't own the rights, so we don't want to get in trouble. We want to donate those prototype cards to somebody to do what they think best. But at least for our stuff, we'll go ahead and start releasing them once we reach those milestones. And not only unreleased stuff, there's some completely finished games. Well, not only unfinished stuff, but we have some completely finished games that are not being dumped. Sorry about that. And those games are gonna be, you know, large, bigger milestones. But those I think we'll be releasing as well, because we don't think it would be wise or worth it to have a commercial release, but they need to be out there because they're part of the history of the platforms. You know, I'll tell you later. And yeah, I mean, we have Sega Genesis games with like partial source code and some ROMs, and they're so finished that we're not gonna be able to do much with it. So we'll release those. Some DOS unfinished games are awesome. Some Game Boy Color stuff, and you know, you'll see. So yeah, 5,000 subscribers, and we'll post all that, the ROMs for you to download and check out, and the source code. And yeah, I mean, leave your comments and subscribe if you want to see the ROMs and see the source code. And yeah, see you next time. Goodbye.